fire. We'll start with you, Market Maverick. What do you think?
I would have to say from we were talking about it, how the tech sector has been exploding in the whole world, and I think the tech sector would have to be the reason why.
Okay, great. What do you think? Let's go with you, King Earl.
What was the question again? Sorry, I just got reestablished on connection.
The stock market has been absolutely on fire. The Dow Jones is on a 13-day winning streak, the hottest streak since 1987. What do you think about this streak? Do you think this streak continues? Do you think it's a fluke? What do you think about this streak right now in the Dow Jones? The stock market's on fire.
I think that we might continue to see a bunch of rise up within the stock market, especially since we had already bottomed out. So I mean, there's nowhere to go besides up as they continue to consolidate. In hopes of on the dream of knowing it's going to go up.
Okay, and Nash Cowboy, what do you think about this news?
I think there's a lot of factors that go into play with it. The biggest being, we're moving into a whole new generation of technology and all kinds of stuff that, there's just so much going on that is going to make this next bull cycle just explode, in my opinion. I think it'll, like Earl said, they're going to consolidate. It's going to go down. It's going to go up. It's going to do that for a while, but it's still going to be on fire. Just like with Bitcoin, I mean, it's been on a consecutive up since January, since the beginning of the year. So it's just, I mean, the stock market's going to do similar things, but we have a lot to explore that's going to make everything go up, in my opinion. But there will be some consolidating. Of course, people are going to take profits. It's going to come down. They can't continuously just go up, 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 up. There has to be some consolidation, and that's healthy for the market as well.
I agree 100%. What do you think, Blaze? You think this?
Well, it's simple. With change, you got people spending money. So the government's going to be changing soon in the United States. So a lot of people are feeling more confident. You know what I mean? So with that being said, I believe every time there's a big change like that, there's always a big uprise in my book, especially when we're in the bottom. You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah.
People are fighting back, buddy. You know what I mean?
It's been a crazy, crazy streak in the stock market, and I believe that this streak will continue because the momentum is very, very strong. Now, the Fed did something today which is going to affect everybody in America and everybody in Canada and everybody all over the world. The Fed raised rates after a pause, and it leaves the door open to more rates. So what do you think about this? Market Maverick, the Fed raised rates again. What do you think about this news?
Every time they increase the rates, the value of the money is lowered, the fiat supply, which means a decline in the crypto market as well, which is possible. We see this, these red days pretty often in the crypto space due to the fiat system, because, I mean, the only way for the crypto market to go up would be for the fiat system to transition into it. And one of the primary effects of increasing rates is a decrease in demand for high-risk assets, including cryptos. So personally, I agree with, who was it? I think it was Blaze who was saying, if it's down, it's going to be coming up here pretty soon.
Okay, thank you so much. King Earl, what do you think about the Fed raising rates? Now we're at 5.5% interest in America. What do you think about this news?
I'm quite happy about it, considering we're only supposed to have 2 rate hikes this year. I mean, we're due for 3 more FOMC meetings. But what we're going to be running into is, as they continue to try to drive the inflation down below the 2%, we still have a resilient economy out there as the markets continue to shift from goods to services provided, which is what a lot of people are going to be investing their money into, is services rather than goods. So, I mean, it's going to be a full market change. And then on the investment strategy of what's actually coming up, But as far as them raising the hikes, I mean, one down, one to go, and then potentially a few more as our economy continues to fight back against the Fed and them raising the hikes for the banks. But we're going to feel it in the long run, even after the inflation, as the banks raise rates continuously to try and make their money back that they lost out on with the hikes.
Okay, thank you so much. Nash Cowboy, what do you think about the Fed raising rates yet again in America?
Oh man, that's such a touchy topic. I personally think they're gonna keep raising them, but I think people are going to overcome anything, especially investors. I think we adapt, we survive, we just keep going, you know.
Yeah.
I agree with you
I mean-
100%, and that's clearly been the case.
Yeah.
Blaze,
My
what do you
opinion,
think about this?
it's their only move they can only do. It's what they always do. So they're going with what works for them. It don't work for everybody out there. Yeah, the inflation, this, that, and all these stories. But look, at the end of the day, that's what they do. You know, so it's not a surprise to me. It's like kind of like a backdoor story to me now. You know, it's you get used to it. You know.
100%.
I mean, they caused it. They might as well clean it up, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like no matter what we say or do, they're gonna raise it. Like Earl said, they're one down, maybe one to go, or a few more. So what do we got? A few months left of the year. I mean, by the time we get to December, Christmas time, everybody's going to be probably struggling or doing good. I mean, it's one or the other is going to happen. There's no in between.
Yeah, I think that we're actually going to have the one here in Q3 again, just so that they can leave Q4 just for evaluation and try to tell people that they're trying to give them a break for the holidays. And then we might potentially see more rises after the beginning of next year in Q1. So
Yeah, building into the election and all that.
Bitcoin halving, try and stumble people up on that. They're making moves to put, people at bay.
See, the thing that I'm trying to understand is the inflation, as you read this headline, just had its smallest rise in more than 2 years, which means they are actually controlling inflation now. We've seen inflation go from 9% to 3%. So if inflation has gone from 9% in 1 year to 3%, have we not taken care of inflation? Is it not under control? To me,
It's under
3%
control.
seems like it's under control. What do you think about that, Mark and Maverick?
Well,
Is inflation under control now?
I
Right,
believe
100%.
I believe inflation was never a threat to begin with. I mean, they've got control of the whole fractional banking system. And since they raised the debt limit, I believe the fractional system of the bank sector's not going to be to blame for what comes next. Because I believe I was doing some research on how much fiat currency was physically floating around the world in 2019, and I believe it was about $24 trillion. And now, when I check the research, the same research, it's showing at $80 trillion physically floating around the world. Inflation to me has gone up about 400%. We're seeing it all over. They're raising the Fed hiking taxes and interest, and all of this is just going to benefit them while it takes away from us and gives us more bills to pay, basically, in the long run. And maybe what they're doing now is going to open the doors, or should I say the floodgates, into central bank digital currencies, because people are getting fed up with fiat and all the taxes and interests and these hikes and rates that are coming up. We're getting fed up as a society.
Do you
Oh,
feel
I
like
know.
it's
Our
all?
gas prices in Canada are completely out of control. Trudeau just keeps increasing all kinds of different taxes and different fees on gas and food. It's like nonstop here. King Earl, is the inflation in America now under control?
I actually don't believe so that it's actually fully under control. I mean, we're able to actually move numbers around, kind of like China does on goods and services, kind of in a way. Because what you're looking at is that everybody is still fully employed, right? There hasn't been a way major unemployment here. There's actually more jobs than there is unemployment due to people not wanting to work, number one.
Yeah.
But it's going to be one of those uncommon situations where we might have a slight recession from the inflation, but we have to hit that first. But the thing is, we're going to have fully employed people who are going to be fighting for higher wages. And since there's so many jobs out there, the companies are going to have to approve or set aside majorities of the pays for them and continue to fight for wage gaps, which is going to continue to fight or help the economy and hurt inflation numbers. But also with the market cap, not the market cap, but the debt ceiling that got raised. I mean, that money has to come from somewhere that they're actually paying in, considering what was we looking at $44 billion in the Treasury's pocket before they raised the ceiling. So that money had to come from somewhere, and it sure wasn't from taxes. So they printed more money to pay in somewhere, right?
100%.
You know,
So
there's
I don't
only
think the real
one-
numbers have come.
There's only one bank in the whole world that has a clean balance sheet, and that's the IMF.
What do you think about this, Nash?
And nobody
Cowboy?
wants to do
Is
business
inflation
with
under
it.
control? Is inflation
Inflation
under
under
control?
control?
Now at 3%? What do you think?
No, I don't believe it is. And I think the numbers are very skewed. However, I feel like it's all part of a plan because we are going to be going into the election, and they're going to, in my opinion, they're going to be the saviors and try and get reelected and, you know, make it look good. That's
Yeah.
my personal opinion. That's what they always do. It seems like it happens every single election. Something happens to make people relieved, you know. I think that's the angle that everybody's really playing in this, in my personal opinion. But, you know, gas
Agreed.
prices are still outrageous. Groceries are still
going up.
outrageous. Me having 6 kids, I especially know this. Like, I mean, it costs me a fortune to feed my kids. You know, I'm not on welfare or anything like that, so it costs me a fortune to feed my kids. I make a lot of money for people in this area with nothing left to spend. You know, I invest as I can, but it's really tight because everything is just so stinking expensive right now. They caused it.
Same way here in
And
Canada, guys. So we're Canadians and Americans. We're getting squeezed, right? We're getting
They're trying
squeezed.
to-
We're getting squeezed. So now interest rates are going up, which means we're paying more for everything. We're paying
Yeah.
more for our car loans, student loans, credit cards, lines of credit, mortgages.
Double.
We're paying more for groceries. We're paying more
Rent.
for gas. So we're getting squeezed everywhere, but we're not making more money.
yeah.
So
Blake,
they
It
print
feels
up,
like it's on purpose.
they're printing up more money only to charge us more to get it back. So basically, they print it up, they put it out there, we're helping you out, and then later on, we're paying 2 times, 3 times, maybe even 4 times for products to give it all back, and we got to give it back 4 times what they give us. So I
And
believe that
let's
inflation's
not
under
forget that it's
control.
hard to begin with.
I believe that inflation's under control, but they ain't showing it.
What's that called where it's under control, but it appears to be a demolition?
That's how I look at it.
Controlled demolition?
Controlled demolition.
It's
yeah.
a controlled
thing with me-
demolition.
That's what
My
I
whole
think
question
is
on
happening.
it is if we're fighting for if we're fighting inflation, which is just the rise on interest rates for loans for certain items, right?
yeah.
Why are food prices going up? Like, are all
Because
these
everything's
manufacturing
basically
plants and
consignment.
farms just taking out massive loans?
It's
Did those
everything's
truckers start
basically
driving
consignment.
again?
The trucks are still driving. I mean, the problem is that we're not importing. We haven't been importing anything real. Oh, we've been importing, but importing has been down 75% for the past 3 years, right?
Mm.
And here in the trucking industry, fuel prices have skyrocketed. The actual freight rates have went down, so it can't be blamed on the logistical environment or industry. So it has to be coming directly from the manufacturing. And if the only thing that's been increased from inflation is the loans interest rates, they haven't started paying their employees anymore. Not yet. So
they're just
why
keeping all the
are
profit.
goods and why
I
are
think-
goods going
I
so
think
far
it's
up?
greed. I think it's greed. I think it's greed people take advantage of the fact that people are going to continue to pay for it. And if
Yeah.
you know people have the money to pay for it, and it doesn't matter what you charge, you're going to take advantage of that because you're greedy and you're going to charge more. And if people keep paying for gas, keep people buying their groceries, and people keep buying houses, keep bringing the price up higher and higher and higher. And that's how you
I
create a
can tell you
bubble.
exactly what's going on.
That's how you create a bubble.
Listen, what's going on is in the factories, they already have things that were way overpriced when they were hurting, and they still have time to get rid of it at that price. Okay, so until those factories that built up all that during the bad pricing goes out the door and sold, then they're not going to go back down. So they're basically legally gouging the shit out of it, the crap out of us. Excuse my language, but you know what I mean?
100%.
So that's how it goes. They get a certain amount of time where they can keep on charging for the same thing to make up for all the money they lost. And in the end, the government bails them out, and that costs us more money too, right?
Yeah.
And let's
Yeah.
not forget it was our money to begin with.
Was it really though?
Mhm.
That money had its own serial number on it.
Our dollar bill in the United States as workers is probably worth 40 cents. By the
Not
time
even.
it goes everywhere and we pay all kinds of stuff, we get 40 cents to our dollar.
Yeah.
Pathetic.
Okay.
Maybe even lower. Because look at the price of like a cheeseburger at McDonald's, say.
Yeah, the price
$4
of bread actually got affected
$4
from
for
Ukraine,
something
right?
that was 99 cents? Come on.
Yeah.
That's why Mickey D stock was going up, Rich, because people are
And the
still
ice
buying it.
cream
It's still
machine never
cheaper than
works.
going to a restaurant.
Okay, so I'm going to change gears a little bit, but I want to give you guys a little explanation of something I think is going on. And I've been talking about Mexico for a while. The Mexican peso just hit a 7.5-year high versus the US dollar. I've predicted this. I've said this. I told you guys that I'm really thinking about moving to Mexico. The cost of living is a fraction of what it is in Canada, United States. Real estate is a fraction of what it is in Canada, United States. And the Mexican economy is booming. Do you think that the Mexican peso will continue to climb versus the US dollar? And does that affect the US economy? Does that hurt the US economy? Does that help the US economy? What do you guys think about the fact the Mexican peso is on a 7.5-year high? Is it just a coincidence? Is it lucky? Is there something that Mexico is doing? Because I personally believe, because I was just there last year, that a lot of Americans and Canadians are moving to Mexico. What do you guys think about this? Mark and Maverick, we'll start with you.
I believe a lot of the Mexican corporations are trying to go away from the US dollar. I mean, a lot of countries are steering away from the US dollar. You got the big countries like China, Saudi Arabia are now trading in digital yuan away from the US dollar. A lot of the countries are actually moving towards the euro, and the United States normally would have been invading countries that don't trade with it. However, nothing's happened, so I believe something big is coming. I don't see much other countries sticking around with the US dollar. If the Mexican peso is climbing 7.5 years in a row, then obviously something's not right in the whole fiat system if they're doing better than the US dollar.
It tells me that the Mexican economy is doing well, right? That's what it tells me. What do you think about this news, Pinero? The Mexican peso hits a 7.5-year high versus the US dollar. What do you think about that as an American?
Well, I want to know where they've been taking their loans out from, which country. You know, we already know that they've been slammed with hurricanes every year. Where do they get their relief funds? You know, which countries do they owe money to that aren't collecting right now because of poor economy? Are they actually buying oil from other places rather than OPEC as the U.S. does during Democratic parties owning it? You know, are they getting international oil from other places like Venezuela, which is very close to them? You know, are they getting things at a cheaper rate? And then how much is the US dollar actually boosting their economy while our manufacturers continue to go to Mexico for cheaper labor and cheaper living and cheaper costs? And have there been any natural resources found? You know, we already know they're working on the Bitcoin mining with the volcano token, with just using volcanoes to provide the energy to mine Bitcoin. So there's been a bunch of money invested in there. where's the other rest parts of it coming from? I mean, it requires much more of a deep dive and a macro strategy that goes up for, an investment. I would
As
say.
you're saying that, I searched it up on Google, and it says here in 2021, Chinese companies were responsible for 30% of foreign investment in Mexico.
There you
Bada
go.
bing, bada boom.
What do you think about this, Nash Cowboy?
I'm definitely with Earl on that, and a lot of the Mexican economy is still struggling very hard. Your bigger areas, there are a lot of permanent tourists going in there, and I believe that also boosts their economy when we have a lot of people go in there starting businesses, and we've got a lot of business in Mexico. Carrier went there. I think they might have come back under Trump. I'm not sure, but Carrier is a huge air conditioning company. It used to be built right down the road from me. And they went there because the whole NAFTA bill that was signed and all that stuff, and then I believe Trump was working on it, and they might have come back, but we've had so much business go to Mexico, which
Let's look
hurts
at
our
John
economy.
Deere, right? They just
I
opened
think
up
that,
a engines
honestly, I think
manufacturing
if you
plant
guys
there.
went to Mexico, you'd be
You guys are
shocked.
forgetting one very important thing. They
Go
opened the
ahead,
borders
Dave.
up.
What is it?
They opened the borders up. They over here doing a huge offload of American money. I mean, come on,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, that's another big problem. Our borders are wide open.
Mhm.
Like 250,000 people crossed the border last month.
Right, and they're taking our money, bringing it back,
One
bro.
month, 1 month. So you have a lot of
They've been
our wealth.
assembling computer servers. Chinese companies have
When
been
I went to
assembling a lot of
Mexico
computer
last year,
servers.
I couldn't believe how American it was. They had Walmart, they have Subway, they have McDonald's, they got BurgerKing. It looked like America, guys. Like it's
Well, yeah.
not what you think.
You've
You got that
you've
kind
only
of
been to that
America
one
in
city, though, right?
Mexico.
No, but everywhere in Mexico, it's like that now. It's literally become America. It's
I've never
not
been there.
Mexico anymore. I'm
Yeah.
telling you guys, it's more like America than you think. And now, as a Canadian who lives in Vancouver, where the average house is $3 million, I can go and buy a house there for like 50 grand. 50 grand.
So
Like,
it's not
a
affecting
no-brainer,
us,
man. It's a
Is there
no-brainer.
property tax over there?
guys. It's not affecting us. Okay, it's actually teaching us that a lot of us in Canada and the United States are doing the wrong thing. We're allowing ourselves to be beat up.
Yes.
So the smart ones are going down to Mexico.
Yes,
but
that's what's
bringing
happening.
more
It's
American
Canadians and
Canadian money
Americans
down
that are
there.
buying real estate down there
Right.
and rebuilding their economy. And I was
Right.
there and I was watching people buy these $30,000-$40,000 properties that would cost like $600,000-$800,000 here in Vancouver. And it costs 30 grand there.
Think
30
of how
grand.
many American dollars are turned into that peso up there. Come on, man. Think about it.
That's what it is. It's Americans that are like, you know what? I'm going to buy a second home in Mexico.
It's like that in
instead of
Lebanon,
buying a
but-
second home in
So
Arizona.
I gotta worry about
kudos,
gas.
kudos to
Bombs.
everybody in Canada and the United States brought money over there, invested, and making Mexico strong again.
And
It
just
says
like,
here you need about
like 10, 20
$600
years
to live
ago,
comfortably in Mexico a
10,
month.
20 years
And
ago,
I got
you could
nothing
buy a
wrong. I
house.
love Mexico. I got a lot of
10,
Mexican
20 years ago,
friends.
you could buy a house here for, 200-300 grand. That was normal. Well, that's what it is in Mexico now. So it's almost like you can start over there. It's like if you can't afford to live in Vancouver
Exactly.
or Toronto, you can literally go to Mexico with a few hundred grand, own a home, have a good life, live in great weather, and not feel house poor. Because here in Canada, if you want to get a house, and let's say it's $1 million home, and for $1 million, you can't even get a townhouse anymore. But let's just say it's $1 million home, just to keep it simple. You buy $1 million home, you put $250,000 down, which average person does not have 250 grand, but somehow people find 250 grand to put down. You have a $750,000 mortgage. That is a freaking death sentence for the average person.
They'll be paying that.
Bro,
for the
you ever hear it going back in time?
Back to the future.
Okay, so basically,
I heard about
that's
something
Back to the
interesting.
Future. Hold on one second. Back in time. So basically, what's going on in Mexico is what we could have done in the United States in 30 years ago. So those that didn't reap the benefits of when everything was good priced and easier for us are going to Mexico, reaping the same benefits as they would have 30 years, maybe 40 years ago in America.
Yeah, they're living like we're in the 90s.
We're complaining about inflation over here, right? So people going to Mexico get more for their dollar. It's simple.
I seen a really interesting movie the other day about it wasn't about traveling through time. It was about radio signals traveling through time, and I was like, that could work.
Well,
Send a radio message
this
through
is real
time like
life
the
stuff.
DeLorean.
This is a real life thing going on. People are taking advantage of their Mexican prices to go back to cheaper prices, easier living.
China's
Alright.
taking over the world, guys. China's taking over the world.
My next topic. The biggest news of the week, if you're in social media, was that Twitter, Elon Musk, has completely gone nuts. He's completely taken away the blue bird and the bird and the tweeting and called Twitter X.
I like it.
It's now X. So I want to hear from you guys. Do you like this? Do you not like this?
I like
Is
it.
this bullish? Is this bearish? We'll start with you, Mark and Maverick. What do you think about this?
I like it because, you know, I'm all about XRP, XLM, and XDC. And in 2001, I believe Elon Musk started X and then turned it into PayPal, sold PayPal, and 20 years later decided to come back with X. And now he has his own payment system. I don't think he's going to use Dogecoin as the payment system for this X upgrade of Twitter, cutting the neck off the bird, which is really entertaining to me. I like his character. It's a funny guy. And I can't wait to see where he goes with the payment system, because there's videos of Elon Musk saying he understands the in-depth plumbing of the financial system. He knows how to write code. He created PayPal. He knows about ISO 20022. I have a feeling that he also said X is going to be half of the world's financial system in the future. So let's see what he's really talking about there. Is he going to be the king of social media payments?
I like it. I think he might. I think he's the richest man in the world, right? So he can make things happen. King Earl, what do you think about this? Twitter is now X. Exactly. Twitter is now X. Do you like it? Are you bullish on this? Do you care? What do you think about this?
I mean, it's a marketing strategy, that's for sure, especially considering Twitter has been falling behind on the budget for the past 2 years. So, you know, it could be a social gimmick for as far as just getting more views in. But I mean, for a complete total rebranding, you know, we have to get away from the bad vibes that was going on it with the FBI using it as a weapon towards different groups, or the Democratic Party using it. But then, you know, you have to look at, you know, the news was Elon Musk bought Twitter. You know, well, what else did he do? He said he's going to create a completely true platform of his own for the people, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, he's always talked about, even during, 2 years ago, he was talking to the then owner, and he was in a meeting with the lady from Anchor, and he said, well, why hasn't Twitter already went ahead and set up payments within it? I mean, you've got Square. Why don't you just go ahead and set up where you can send money through Square? And Dorsey was like, well, you know, we don't have the infrastructure for that right now. Elon said, well, if it was mine, I would.
There you go. I think that's a little clue of what he's going to do right there. You guys have heard of WeChat, right?
Yep. It's in Asia.
Elon has already said that he wants to create the North American version of WeChat. And WeChat is the everything app in Asia that allows you to buy things, sell things, buy things with your credit card, buy crypto, sell crypto. It's a social media platform where you have a profile and you can contact friends, family. You can make phone calls with it. It's literally a super app that does everything. That's what he's going to do with Twitter, and he's calling it X.
What was Facebook doing? Threads?
Threads,
yeah.
I made an account there. Now I got to I'm trying to re-get my account here with Twitter, and it's giving me an issue. I'm trying to get it in again.
That's weird. I don't know what that is.
And Threads needs to upgrade your system.
I think it's a very bold move going to X, with Twitter being such a well-known name. But with that being, like, if it was anybody other than Elon trying this, like, I would say it's a horrible idea.
Yes.
But
Mm.
Elon has the money to make it work because it's going to take a lot to transform into that. But if it was anybody other than someone like Elon that definitely has the finances to do it, I think it would be a death sentence to change the name of Twitter.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
heard that he's lost about $20 billion in real world branding by removing this bird that everybody knows as Twitter. Right? He's removed $20 billion in branding. Now he's worth 300 billion. So
Yeah.
20 billion to him is less than 10% of his net worth. Maybe he makes that 20 billion back times 10. Who knows? Time will tell. But I agree with you. It is a very bold move, and only time will tell whether or not it's going to work for him.
Can I ask you a
What do you
question,
think about
everybody?
this move? What do you think about this move? Twitter going to X.
Changing the name is like Jack Daniels changing their name to something else, like you just don't do that.
All right,
But
ready, Rich? He's
Elon
going to
has
lose $20 billion, right, on
Yeah.
rebranding. But this new brand is going to make over $100 billion. Guaranteed. The look of it's better. There's a lot of people out there that love the look of that X. I dig it.
I like it.
I mean, at the end of the day, you spend $40 billion on a company, you make it whatever you want to do with it.
Yeah, good point. Now,
Could I ask you guys a
And it's
question?
time
Rich?
for a change, bro. It's time for a change. He just
Yeah.
took
Do you
the
still call
platform-
it Facebook or Meta?
They call it Facebook. But I mean, at the
I
end of
can't
the
get
day,
over it.
but at the end of the day, the X move is a huge move because it's a rebrand, and a lot of people do like changes. Okay, and especially companies that like to market and advertise, they want to be the first ones in to help build that new brand. So
I
they're
hope
going to
it's
be
XRP.
competing to pay him to get in there. Watch.
So check this out. So this is something I found very interesting. I'd love to get your guys' opinion on this. So he took the handle X from somebody and didn't pay them, didn't offer them anything, just took it from them. Do you think that that's right?
There's
What do
a
you think,
crypto
Mark
called
Maverick,
X.
that he just took the handle from somebody? Somebody owned the handle X on Twitter and he just took it from them.
Didn't he do that before with the website for Tesla or something like that? He did it with
I'm
the
not
website.
sure, but I mean, I thought that's pretty rude that you would just take the handle away from one of your users and not even warn them or pay them anything. Kind of odd, right? What do you guys think?
I don't
do you think?
think that
He's a funny guy.
the user had copyrighted their handle.
Just
I
shows
guess
the
not.
sheer power of corporations. What they
I mean,
can
he
do above the
literally
law.
just took it from them. Didn't even warn them.
I believe
think
he
that's a little
figured
aggressive.
is
he'll
that
do it
fact?
first
Is
and
that
then deal with the lawsuit later. He wants to guarantee. I don't think he's worried about the money that the lawsuit will bring. I think he needs to guarantee that he calls his company X, and that's all he's got in his sight.
Yeah.
What do you think
Hopefully, I
about it?
believe it's XRP in my eyes. When I see an X that big, you know me, man. I'm all about XRP and XLM, and I got love for DMX when he says X, go and give it to you.
Hey, listen, I like what you're thinking. I never even thought about XRP, and maybe you're right. Maybe he's going to announce that XRP will be the payment processing coin, and that's what X stands for. It's
I
not
hope so.
It's not a bad theory, and I never even thought about that. And it could happen. It could definitely
Hey,
happen.
man, anything's possible with Elon Musk. The guy's going to Mars. He's building robots. He said he wants to do it. He's going to send those robots to Mars. We're going to have, and he's also licensing his auto self-drive Tesla to Ford and GM. He's literally taking over the car industry's GPS navigation system is being licensed out from Tesla to the other big corporations. So he's going to be running the show in the future on all the tech sectors.
Nash Cowboy, what do you think about this? Do you think it was rude for Elon Musk to just take the X handle away from one of his users and not compensate them and warn them?
I'm trying to look at it right now to fact check it. Like, I mean, is that just a story or has it been fact checked that he actually did that for one? Because as we know, there's a lot of things said about a lot of people in power that aren't true, you know, so I can't say.
I think it is fact. They even broke down whose account it was. It was like a guy with some ex photography. Like, I'm pretty sure it is fact that he took it from someone.
If it is 100% factual,
I'm gonna search that up.
I think Elon is the guy that will compensate him for it. But I don't know. He might not. He might just say, I mean, if there is no copyright on it, then, you know, that's just the way it is, you know?
You don't need a copyright. You just have to be the first to use it with proof of date of when you did it. So
Yeah.
basically, my opinion, not to cut you off, Nash, this is going to be the cheapest marketing thing ever for him. There's going to be a lawsuit, if true. Okay, he does not have to patent it or anything like that or trademark it,
Type
because
in x.com on the internet, guys.
yeah,
Yeah, it goes
X.com
right
is
to Twitter.
it's Twitter. So basically, there's X.io, X.com, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, look at you don't have to trademark it. If you prove, which this guy could do, go to court, and he's going to settle up a short change. That's going to be a huge story, and there's going to be new eyes on Twitter X. You know, so it's very cheap marketing plan. So he hasn't announced he's going to help him or do nothing with it, because he's like, bring on a lawsuit. It's just more marketing for me.
Yeah, he doesn't
Simple.
seem to care about lawsuits. He's not
No,
afraid. of
because
going
it's
to court.
more marketing. It just puts more hype in his name all across the planet. Oh, do you know that X is being sued by this guy? You know, oh, X, free marketing, cheap money, easy done.
I think there's going to be some crazy changes coming into how payments are going to transform the world. For example, right now, if Swift is sending money worldwide, they have to batch, let's say, $250 million of payments into this freight train of 250 mil, and then behind it another 250, another 250, 500 mil here, and these things transfer throughout the world's central bank system to reach commercial banks like a train is stopping between cities. What they're doing is they're upgrading the whole financial system with the ISO 20022 rich data messaging system, which Elon is familiar with. And they're going to have something called micro purchases. This was invented by David Schwartz, CTO of Ripple. What that allows for, your digital identification can actually get charged 30 seconds of time for looking at a newspaper online. So they can start having worldwide transactions of single transactions, each one of us single form, sending out transactions worldwide, 30 seconds here, $1 here, $2 here, $3 here, on a worldwide scale with blockchain. It's going to transform the world. They're going to have social media, and they even said video games like GTA 6. And I'm like, this is all possible with the central bank digital currency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the smart contract capabilities. The world's changing in the next few years here.
Okay, I want to change gears for a second here. I want to know, will Bitcoin hit its all-time highs? I want your guys' predictions. Will Bitcoin hit its all-time highs by 2025? Market Maverick, start with you.
You know, I think decentralized system is not something that you can just turn off. Oh, what's going on there? Oh, yeah. It's not something you can just turn off. And we had BlackRock CEO himself say Bitcoin's an international currency here to stay. It's not going anywhere. Where is it going to go? Up. 21 million coins available. 1 million locked up in Satoshi's wallet means 20 million coins available. What are we at now, Rich? How many have been mined total? You know the answer.
Like 19.5 million.
How much is left? The rest of the 8 billion people on Earth that are not part of the 420 million current crypto users worldwide. I believe, what, 5 or 10 million people own Bitcoin?
Well, I know there's less than 1 million people that own one full Bitcoin in the world. 1 million wallets.
Yeah, it's not even a percent.
So Bitcoin's going up in my eyes. I think all-time high. I mean, when we're 20 in the year 2050, when I have children that are 20 years old, Bitcoin's probably going to be sitting at like $2-3 million.
So let me ask you a question. So does Bitcoin hit an all-time high by 2025?
I think Bitcoin hits an all-time high by March 2024 because the Federal Reserve's going live at the same time, months apart. Bitcoin halving, the same time, months apart. ISO 20022 is going live with Swift's full ISO integrated network with MX messaging. And I'm like, well, everything is pointing at the year 2024. So to me, from now till 2024 March, before the FedNow system goes live, the whole crypto space has to be stable enough in order for the Federal Reserve to go live to use the whole crypto space. So I think we're going to see all-time highs much before then.
So since you just said that, do you think the Quant's Overledger system is going to be involved in that?
Quant's Overledger, I think Hyperledger, I think Interledger. I used to make a joke about something called Outer Ledger, but that doesn't even exist. But truthfully, I think they're all connected. I think Quant is going to be what makes everything interoperable with each other. You're going to have a payment system connected to that on private ledger. You're going to have a public ledger connected to that. Then you're going to have smart contracts connected to that. I always assume there's going to be one main currency that has the dominant market cap, and then there's going to be gold. Now, for example, Rich, I love Bitcoin, and I love cryptos, I love XRP, but I got to say, how much money is in gold? I'd say what $73 trillion worldwide. How much market is there in currencies total? You know, so the currency market is always going to be bigger than gold, right? So I'm like, there's going to be something bigger than Bitcoin eventually, and Bitcoin can sit on top of the core ledger for the financial system like it does now.
King Earl, what do you think? Do we see an all-time high by 2025 or sooner in Bitcoin?
As far as matching the current all-time high, I don't. Well, yeah, with the BlackRock spot ETFs, I do view that we could actually hit an all-time high with the amount of money that's actually being invested. I think we're in for a heck of a roller coaster as they start to invest money into the markets, because I mean, we haven't had this any other year. I mean, we were looking at what, $4 trillion last year in the crypto industry, and now we're looking at potentially another 9 trillion being dumped on top of it.
Massive.
That's crazy.
It's massive.
And
What
that's
about
without
the
new
$54
users,
billion
really?
entering into central bank digital currency through the Republic of Palau?
I'm
The
always
first
going to
ever.
stick with my gut.
Wasn't a huge bank that just said about a month ago that a $15 trillion earthquake was about ready to hit the crypto market?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
It's
was
actually
reading
another
about
one
it.
of my articles I was going to bring up. But we don't have that much time left. We
Yeah,
got
let's
15
get through
minutes.
this one.
Nash Cowboy, will Bitcoin hit
The
an
fight's
all-time
coming
high
on.
by 2025?
I think absolutely. I think right around the Bitcoin halving, it could reach its current all-time high, not surpass it too much. But then by the peak of the bull market, absolutely, I think it could reach 150-ish, 140.
I love it. That would make me very happy. Blaze, what do you think? Does Bitcoin hit an
Absolutely.
all-time high?
Maverick said something about March 2024. I absolutely
Halvings.
agree,
Right now.
because the halving is going to happen, but I don't think March. I'm saying May, April and May. I think it's going to smash, because when there's a new election, cryptocurrency is used by the very same people that's against it, the government. to
Or are
pay
they
for their
pretending to be
elections.
against?
So take advantage of all that government money being dumped into crypto and make some money off of it. That's my gut feeling. Yes.
Okay, so Nash, you were talking about this.
Yeah.
15.5 trillion simultaneous crypto earthquakes are heading for Bitcoin and Ethereum and Ripple.
Who was it?
Price boom.
Who was it?
Can you imagine $15.5 trillion going into Bitcoin,
Who-
Ethereum, and Ripple? What would the price be, guys?
You
Who
know,
was it
I did the
that,
math.
who was it that stated that? Was it JP Morgan or I can't remember.
You're talking
You know what? I don't know.
For every $1
$650,000
trillion
Bitcoin
It was somebody, if
120,000
somebody
Ethereum.
big, and that's what made me actually pay attention to it, is because it was somebody like Chase or somebody, or maybe it was Fidelity.
I saw one
might
about
be-
Elon Musk today. Well, Elon Musk talking about trillions of dollars entering in the crypto space, and he's saying he quietly brought that up. Let me bring it up for you guys here.
We're
Where is
talking
it?
So
about
just
an
imagine
$800,000
trillions of
Bitcoin.
dollars coming into the marketplace. What is that going to do for our cryptos that we're holding? It's going to make them explode,
Well,
right?
Bitcoin,
This
Bitcoin will
is
hit
the
800
time, guys.
grand.
For anyone that's watching, this is the time to get into crypto because we've seen a bull market in crypto so far this year, and really, it's barely moved.
Just the volume,
Like
right?
crypto's barely moved. Like 100% for
What's-
Bitcoin is nothing.
What's the most
15
that's ever been
trillion,
in the
bro.
crypto market at one time?
It was 2 point something trillion. Bitcoin was worth 1.2 trillion. So if you go
Okay.
to 15 trillion, we're talking an $800,000 Bitcoin.
Yeah. So if that happens, which we can't predict the future, you know, we're not financial advisors. If that happens, like is expected, you know, good night. There's no
Yeah.
limit. There's really
I
no
think
limit.
it's going to happen. You know, the Federal Reserve's website, on their actual website, the Federal Reserve, they say single day implementation
Mhm.
for the FedNow system when it goes live. Single day. And then they also used to use a different type of explanation. They used to call it the Big Bang. When Swift goes live, they used to say the flip of the switch, the Big Bang, and single day implementation. Those words are circulating in my head.
What do you guys think about this? We got 10 minutes left, 13 minutes left. Russia's
Wow.
Bitcoin mining industry is booming through war and sanctions. Russia's Bitcoin mining industry is booming. What about this?
It's hard to say, you know. I thought mining Bitcoin was banned in Russia.
Not
Mhm.
anymore.
There's some people that believe that Putin actually created Bitcoin.
I've heard that from Dan Pena, I believe.
Yes, he's the one saying that Putin actually created Bitcoin.
Says
So-
here Bitcoin use is limited in Russia due to restrictive laws on cryptos. So including President Putin in 2020 said he has a law on digital financial assets which legalized cryptos but banned using them to pay for goods and services.
So there's a lot of people that believe that BRICS might back their currency with Bitcoin. So
I was reading that as well. Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff going on that if different countries or institutions or organizations, and even Robert Kennedy Jr. has come out and said that he would back the US dollar with Bitcoin. So as Bitcoin becomes more mainstream and people start backing their countries and their assets with Bitcoin, it's going to stabilize Bitcoin and make it a superpower asset, which right now we already know. I think all of us here own Bitcoin. We already know it's a superpower asset, but the average person doesn't get it. The average person doesn't get it. So do you think that Russia is using this war as an opportunity to benefit with Bitcoin acquisition, Bitcoin mining? Because if they can't use US dollars, they're now using Bitcoin to pay for transactions. They're using Bitcoin for everything because they're being blocked by using US dollars.
You know, it's
So here's,
interesting to see.
here's your answer to that question. Whenever there is war, there is always profit. There is a lot of money in war. No matter which country starts it, they're
Yes.
gonna profit in some way.
Yes.
So, and that's what it
So-
always boils down to. So yeah, absolutely, they could be.
If Russia is going to be using Bitcoin, wouldn't that mean BlackRock is aiding the Russian currency with the ETF? I don't understand how this is all going to work and play. I'm reading right now that Russia plans to mine crypto for cross-border deals. However, XRP and XLM are cross-border payment systems working with SWIFT and the FedNow. So maybe Russia using Bitcoin as a currency is actually something the IMF doesn't want, because the IMF did tell El Salvador, you can't have Bitcoin as legal tender. Now, Bitcoin
And they
is
did it anyways.
representing
And they
gold
did it
as a digital
anyways.
form, but A currency, I don't know. I do not know.
Anybody else
There's a
have
new
anything
bill
you want to
coming
say
out.
about that?
Earl's
Anyone
up.
have any comments on that? Earl?
Earl's up.
Well, I mean, look at China. They just went ahead and kind of peeked into saying that they might be potentially unlocking the doors of Bitcoin again, right?
Yeah.
So when we're looking at the 15 trillion, are we looking at them actually pumping money in, or are we looking at China's assets finally being unlocked from their government where they can start pulling and dumping? So it
Wow.
doesn't state which way it's going to go. So I would say be leery and be wary and do your own research. As far as Bitcoin being unlocked within Russia, they've been blocked from the SWIFT banking system. We already know Ripple was going to potentially be the next take place of the SWIFT banking system. Russia was just in discussions of creating their own
With China.
cryptocurrency, and now China's in there. We got the backing, and then we got India already outlawing and listing everything as securities.
Yeah.
180 different ones.
They're
So
using Russian money in Cuba right now too. You know.
yeah, I mean the thing is they have to set up and delegitimize different tokens. So when they pop theirs in with their own CBDC, where they can do cross-border transactions with it, it'll be fully legalized within their countries, and that's what they'll use as their legal tender as far as the digital currency, because they don't really have to set up a currency and print a bunch of money and send it across the world. I mean, look back at George W. Bush, right, Jr. Before he got in office, he was supposed to have signed a piece of paper creating an actual currency with North America that was supposed to have been like Mexico, the United States, Canada, and I think Greenland or Iceland, right? And that was supposed to be our own like euro kind of token. And there hasn't been anything that's been done off of that. And I'm still wondering if this Fed now is going to be based off of that idea or some of those legalities that have been set up since 2002. So, I mean, Russia's a bunch of talk right now, and as far as them mining, they're going to take all the money they can get right now because they're utterly broke. Their currency has been in turmoil since the early 90s when their leader actually got kicked out, and then they put Putin in charge, and then he came in back to try to stabilize Russia. I mean, you're looking at a whole different cloud of things over there with communism, and you can't think about it like you would with Democrat mind or democracy mind, right? Same with North Korea and China.
Nash Cowboy, you got anything you want to say about that?
But I just think it's all up in the air. I mean, there's a lot going on with this whole war, and I can't even tell you whose side I am on in the war. I think a lot of it's bullcrap. That's my personal opinion. And there's many countries profiting from it. So are they making money from Bitcoin mining? Yeah, sure, why not? Very possible.
Okay, Blaze, what do you think? Anything you want to say about that?
I think our boy Sam got himself tied up with the Russians a little too much. FTX went down hard with that war, and I think Russia has a lot to do with the Bitcoin decline and rise. So I always believed that the war, once that war was coming around right after the COVID, and then Bitcoin started dipping hardcore. The Ukrainians and Russians both guilty on both on that Bitcoin party thing there. I'm telling you, it's a big mess. These guys, look at Russia was the first to mine Bitcoin. China took it over, okay? And then they both say they want out of it. They're going to try and create their own token. Now they're both going to lean on it. But both countries don't want to work with the U.S. dollar. But if they invest in Bitcoin, they're back to working with the U.S. dollar. So
That's right.
What makes sense here? They're all a bunch of liars. We got to believe as a group of people, we all got to get together and teach each other away from what the governments are doing and take advantage of the government mistakes.
And that's why Bitcoin is so powerful,
can take it out.
because Bitcoin allows us to do business without governments, without banks. This is why Bitcoin is a game changer. That's how we take the power back, is by utilizing Bitcoin, because it's decentralized. Centralized is something that is controlled by government. Something that's decentralized,
the government does
not
have
controlled
some
by
sort of
government.
power. on the token going up and down if they're investing their money in.
Guys, we got 5 minutes left, so I just want to leave on this last topic. So these are the top 10 electric vehicle companies in the world right now. Now, you can see here that the number one is Tesla. Do you notice? I don't know if you guys can see this, but it's a pretty crazy difference between Tesla and every other electric vehicle company. The market cap of Tesla, $885 billion. The second largest market cap of any other electric vehicle company is Ford, 61 billion. Tesla is more than 10 times larger than the size of Ford. What do you guys think about this? Will anybody ever catch Tesla? We'll start with you, Market Maverick.
I think I'm really proud of Elon Musk for sticking it to those guys. You know, not one of them believed in him. Bill Gates shorted him. Warren Buffett did not invest in it. All those guys disagreed with what he was doing, and look at now he's number one with a 10x on all of them. And you know, I was looking through that list there, and other than Tesla, the king of electric vehicles, Neuralink, SpaceX, the Boring Company, this guy's going to be our first trillionaire, ladies and gentlemen. But I also love Lucid Motors on that list. I love their shape of their body, of the vehicles, their trucks. They have such an amazing design, something that I would really like to get my hands on. Lucid Motors, I believe it's about 7th or 8th on that list there. Well, I see them being maybe number 2 or 3 in the future, definitely above Ford.
Okay, King Earl, what do you think? Does anyone ever pass Tesla in the race for electric vehicle supremacy?
I would say there's a potential because look at Elon Musk. He's such a nice guy. I mean, he gave all the different companies such as Chevy permission and access to their charging stations, and other electric car companies access to their charging stations where they can actually charge. Elon's more worried about just making it a greener deal, you know, and making the world a better place or safer as far as his motto on electric cars and leaving a green thumbprint. So potentially he could be helping other people. I mean, he was just helping a rocket company or a space flight company, shall we say, with their parachutes this past week, where he went in and had some of his techs actually come in and was talking to them to try to help with their parachute deployment. I mean, he's such a good guy as far as leading all of his tech and letting some of it go, and he's not just holding on to it, you know. So he's going to let some of his information out there. They're not going to have as much test trials. They're not going to waste as much money if they can just help or have him assist them and help him or help their companies. So, I mean, we could be looking at it because I don't think he's going to monopolize the whole entire economy like Chevy or Ford would, because they're not going to be bailed out by the U.S.
They already pay him for his GPS system subscription monthly. So, I mean, I don't think they're going to be catching up to him anytime
And
soon.
he's also got deals. He's also got deals to build charging stations for all of them. So
yeah, I mean,
he's
this guy's number
monopolizing
one.
it. Nash Cowboy, what do you think? Does anyone ever beat Tesla in the race to electric vehicle supremacy, or does Tesla stay number one?
I think they're just gonna stay number one. He's got such a wide gap on him right now, and him gonna be helping others in the race. You know, there's gonna be some payback on a lot of things. They're gonna get some technology and everything from him. So it's just like anything. He who has the most data wins. Okay, Elon has the most data. All right. So
Elon is the data.
Yeah. So, and we're in a technical world, and that goes for anything. You build an app, he who has the most data wins, because everything else is kind of built off of that. Okay, they've already had trial and error, and we need to do it this way. It's hard for them to come up and catch up. So I don't think anybody will pass it. Now, with all that being said, I love driving electric cars, but I don't think they're more green.
I like combustion, man. I like electrical speed, but I love the sound of that
Blaze,
motor.
let's hear from you. This is the last comment, guys, because we're now over
Blaze.
an hour. Blaze.
Listen, no, worldwide influencer, number one in the world, will not be beat. Contracting charging stations, helping everybody out. People are going to be paying him. So the more that they make, the more they're going to pay him, and the more he's going to go up. Not to mention his own program. I'm talking a $4 to $5 trillion Tesla in the future. No problem.
He's gonna be ahead. This guy.
Guys, thank you so
BlackRock's
much for
number
joining us today. Everybody,
Yes,
guys,
it's
we've been
number
live
one.
for an hour. Thank you so much for joining us today. I want to say thank you to King Earl for joining us today, Blaze, Nash Cowboy, and Market Maverick. Thank you guys for joining me on your Saturday. I really appreciate it. I will have a link to all of your guys' YouTube channels in the description of this video. So please, whoever's watching, go and subscribe and follow all of our co-hosts. Thank you guys for joining us today, man. I really appreciate you guys, and enjoy
No
the rest
problem,
of your day,
guys.
gentlemen.
Good to see all
Sure,
you
it's
guys.
fun.
I'm glad to see you all healthy and trucking along. You know what I mean?
100%. And I just also want to let everyone
Stay
know
hodling.
that Rich TV Live is strictly for information and education purposes. Please do your due diligence, do your research before you invest in anything that we've talked about or discussed. Past performance is not always an indication of future results.
Agreed.
And remember, there's always a bull market and a bear market somewhere. Our job is to find it. And over here, when you watch our show, you're going to learn about the most trending topics every single week on the Bull and Bear Show, episode number 10. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks, guys, for joining. And we'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Later, guys.